When we found out I was pregnant with baby number 2, the first thing that we knew we needed was a double stroller. And we started considering all the different options, and there are tons out there. And we went with the Wonderfold W2 Luxe. And the reason that we did that was because we thought it could grow with our family as like our toddler got older. It would also accommodate him still. So we went with the W2 Luxe, and now I'm gonna give you a review now that my daughter is 7 months old. The Wonderfold website says that the wagons are for ages 6 months and up. So I made sure that we were able to kind of like test it out with her actually sitting in a seat before I wanted to do this review. We did use it a lot as like a big giant pack and play on wheels, like people always say, and it worked well like that. But then we've also been able to put her in the seats. And so I just feel like I have a good insight at this point of how good and effective the W2 is as a stroller. We decided to go with the W2 over the W4 mainly because I did not think the W4 would fit in my car, and I was right. But the W2 is a lot less expensive than the W4 as well. If you get the W2 original, you can get it as low as like $420, and that's like without it being on sale, without a discount or anything. We went with the W2 Luxe, which is originally $650, but honestly, don't buy a Wonderfold unless it's on sale, because you can find sales, whether it's at like Baby, whatever that website is, or you can put it on your registry at Babylist, and then once your registry is like within a certain time frame, you can buy it for 15% off. So I honestly would not put this on my registry as like something that I wanted people to give me. I would put this on my registry as something that people can put money towards, and then at the end you can go purchase it yourself for 15% off of the actual price. So right now Wonderfold's doing a Black Friday sale, and the W2 Luxe is on sale for $500. So seriously, don't buy these unless they're on sale. Even though it is expensive, I feel like that's kind of like the going range for most double strollers. So if you're gonna get any kind of double stroller, like even like a Graco double stroller, they're gonna be at least $350+. So getting a Wonderfold on sale really isn't gonna be that big of a difference between most like entry-level double strollers, I feel like. And then also, like, if you're looking at really high quality things, like the UPPAbabies are going to be double the price of a Wonderfold almost. So I don't think it's actually that bad when you compare it. It's a huge sticker price. When you look at it, you're like, I cannot believe I'm gonna have to spend this much on a freaking stroller wagon. But compared to other things, it's kind of the going rate. Since we went with the W2, it actually only seats 2 kids instead of 4. And the reason that I went with the W2 is because the W4 is not that much bigger. Like, it's not much wider. I think it's a couple inches wider. So if you're kind of cramming kids in there, you can get them in there when they're smaller, but then when they get older, you're not going to be able to like sit them side by side because there's not going to be enough room for them in those seats. I know people do it and they love the W4, but I just figured we could do the W2 and kind of give my son a little bit more room since he's the older child. He'll have a little bit more room to himself once he gets to be a little bit bigger. One thing I would do before I buy it is measure my car, and don't measure like where it's actually gonna fit in your car. Measure the entryway to your car, because sometimes that is a lot smaller than the actual like storage space that you have in your trunk. Just make sure it's gonna be able to fit in your car. A couple things that I love about the seating in this is that it's raised seating. We had a wagon before, and it was like one of those wagons where they were kind of like sitting at the same level as their feet, and my son hated it. I also think it's cool that you can remove the seats, so you can either do the 1-seater, the 2-seater, or you can actually take them both out and just have it be like a normal wagon. And I think that we'll use this a lot more as my kids get older, honestly, because once my son is like playing sports and stuff and we're having to take the baby to his sporting events, it'll be nice to have like a little place to contain her and a place for her to be able to sit and ride easily. And then we can also store other things in there. So it'll be easy to get him, just like throw him in there and let him ride. He can ride without a seat. And then we can also put like sports gear and stuff like that in the bottom of the wagon. It's just really good for storage. The Wonderfold website also talks about the reclining seats a lot, and it's like a huge sell on the Luxe, which is like the more expensive wagons. So we did get the Luxe, and so we do have the reclining seats and the magnetic harness. I think the magnetic harness is pretty cool. It just like, you just like put the things on each other and it just magnetizes, which is cool. It's easy to do. You're not going to pinch anyone. But the reclining seats were not as impressive as I thought they would be. Like, it does not recline that much. And honestly, if you have a really small child and they're trying to sleep, it's better for them to just sleep on the bottom, on the mat, instead of trying to have them sleep in those reclining seats. So with a 7-month-old, I don't really put her in the seats unless she's awake and alert. If she's gonna sleep, then I'm just gonna put her in the bottom. I do think that having the ability to put her in the bottom floor is awesome because we can throw the Snuggle Me in there and she can just kind of like lounge around. But as far as the reclining seats go, like if they're tired, if they're already asleep, you can't adjust it while they're in there like you can with a stroller. Like a normal stroller, you can just pull the little thing and their back will recline. In this, you have to actually take the little pieces and pull them out and adjust them where they are on the wagon. So it's not really practical for when they're already tired. You have to do it before you put them in the stroller. So the next thing I want to talk about is the canopy on the Wonderfold, and the canopies are great. You can remove them, you can put them on. We don't use it a ton. Like when we're in stores and stuff, I'll leave the canopy in my car because I don't want to take it in. But then anytime that we're outside, it's fantastic because you can adjust it. Even if the sun's like on the side of them, you can take it and pull it over to the side and then it guards them from that way. And you can buy the ones that go all the way across so that it's super adjustable and you pretty much get 360 sun coverage. I like that you can raise and lower it depending on where the sun is. And then I also like the fact that you can still fold it with the canopy. When I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, there's no way this is getting in my car and that sunshade is gonna be a hassle. It really isn't. So I would say I'm like average height. I'm like 5'7"-ish and my husband is like 6'1", 6'2", and we can both push the stroller comfortably because the handlebar is adjustable. So we do really like that. It makes it so comfortable to push and it is an easy, smooth push. Even though it's a very heavy stroller, you push it pretty easily. I don't know if that's just because we got the Luxe and we got the bigger tires, but ours is very easy to push. It does have a lot of good storage options. So on the very back, it comes with a nice little storage caddy that goes kind of like right above the foot pedal. And in there, I like to keep like snacks. I actually keep a bike lock in there in case I need to lock my Wonderfold up somewhere because it's an expensive stroller. And if we're like at the park or something, I'm not just gonna leave it hanging around. So I have a bike lock in there, some snacks, some sunscreen, some, you know, like those bug bracelets. We have just things in there that we might need while we're out and about. And sometimes I can even just throw my diapers and wipes in there if I'm not like staying somewhere for an extended period of time, and then I don't have to take a diaper bag. And then on the front, there's a little pouch, I guess, where you can put a couple things. And that's also where there's a zipper so that kids can climb in and out on their own, which my son absolutely loves. And then there are two smaller pouches where you can just kind of like hold very minimal things, but you can put a couple things in the little side flap pouches. So I think there are good storage options, but you do not have a cup holder unless you purchase an add-on. So there's a lot of things on the Wonderfold that you can purchase accessories for, and we'll talk about that later. But one of the things that you kind of need is a parent console so that you can have a cup holder for yourself, somewhere to store like your phone and honestly, even like the baby's bottles and things. Like sometimes I can put baby bottles and stuff like that in the back storage area right above the brake, but sometimes you just really want it out and handy, and this doesn't have that unless you purchase one. As far as accessories go, I think you honestly do need that parent console, and then a couple of things that are nice that Wonderfold has would be the cargo net and then the kids snack tray, which has cup holders and then the ability for them to like, you know, eat snacks while they're in the wagon. Their accessories are pretty expensive though, I'm not gonna lie. I don't have the parent console and I don't have the snack tray just because they're expensive and I don't feel like I absolutely need them. And plus they're always freaking sold out. Most of the accessories though, you can fold the wagon while the accessories are on, which is nice, so you don't have to take those off. But speaking of folding, it's not the best. You might think that you might have some room in your car once you folded this thing and put it in there. You won't. It's gigantic. When you fold it up, it's not horrible to fold, but it's not the easiest fold. And when you fold it, it is still gigantic. Like, all that happens when you fold it is that front to back, it gets smaller. That's all you're doing, is you're pushing the front to the back. It's huge, it's heavy, and it's awkward. So you leave the seats and everything in it when you fold it. So it's not like inconvenient, it's just still gigantic. I have a Honda CR-V and we can fit almost nothing else in the very back when we have our Wonderfold. It's also a little awkward to put in the car just because there's nowhere that's really good to like grip it. So you have to hold it up here and down at the bottom and kind of twist it and try to fit it into your car. It's a task. So honestly, this is not a stroller that I use every single day. It's not something that I'm gonna take into a store every time I go into a store. It's just big, bulky, and kind of difficult. When we got the box shipped to us, it was 60 pounds. It's just kind of difficult for me to get it like in and out and have a reason to use it everywhere that we go, if that makes sense. You can use it pretty easily at like Costco, Target, where the aisles are big, you're good to go. But if the aisles are smaller, it's hard to push around. I do take this on walks when we go like walk the track. I use it. I just feel like it's basically a sled that I'm pushing. I feel like it's so much heavier than it needs to be. It takes turns kind of like wide. Another thing that I'll say about the Wonderfold is you cannot use it at Disney World. So that is a huge drawback to us as people who love Disney World. We do really like the Wonderfold and we wish we could take it to Disney, but it makes sense. Like, they're so big and so bulky. If you could imagine getting on a Disney World bus and there being like 5 Wonderfold wagons, it'd take up the whole entire room. Even if it's folded, it's gonna take up a lot of room, and then you're not gonna be able to fit that many people on a bus. So I feel like that's why they do it, because honestly, the dimensions are not that much bigger than a normal double stroller once it's like unfolded, but a folded Wonderfold is still big. So we'll be at Disney World in 2 weeks, and we're gonna have to use a different double stroller for our trip because we're not allowed to have it at Disney World. So my final thoughts on if a Wonderfold is worth it would really all come down to like your personal use cases. When do you want to use it and how old are your kids? So I think that as my kids get older, we'll actually be able to use this wagon more, which is really, really good, I think. So I think right now we're gonna have to have another double stroller to take to Disney World because we simply cannot take the Wonderfold. And even if we couldn't fit it in our freaking car with suitcases. So can't take the Wonderfold to Disney. We'll have to have another double stroller. So that's not ideal, especially with the cost of a Wonderfold and a double stroller. Then you also have the idea of like being able to use it daily. Are you gonna use this daily? I would say probably not. Unless you're like a stay-at-home mom who has a neighborhood that you're gonna walk in, then you might be able to use it a little bit more. Or if you like live somewhere that you can walk everywhere that you go, you'll probably get good use out of it. But if you're having to lug it in a car, it's gonna be like a big downside for you to have to load it and unload it. Like, I see people all the time on like Instagram, TikTok, like they have their husbands unload their strollers and load their strollers for them because they're 55 pounds and it's hard to get them in and out of cars because it's just awkward. It really just depends on you and your lifestyle. For me, I think it's gonna be great for when they're older, but for now, there's a lot of times that we just don't use it when we're out. This is not me saying that I don't like my Wonderfold, because I really, really do. Like, we love it. We do think that it's worth it to have for us, but for some people, I could see how you might just want to get a double stroller and just be done with it, because having to have both is not ideal. And we're gonna have to have both. Those are my thoughts on my W2 Luxe Wonderfold Wagon Stroller after 7 months of use. I hope you guys found this helpful in some way. If you have any other questions, just let me know in the comments because I would love to answer them. I feel like I told you everything that I felt like I needed to tell you to give you kind of a good overview of what it's like to have a Wonderfold and when we use it and reasons that we don't use it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.